Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. And today is going to be catch-up video number 4 in the series. Until we get caught up to current topics, gaming-related stuff and pop culture-related stuff, we're going to get caught up on all this stuff I should have been talking about all this other time. So, today's, we're going to talk about we're going to continue the Star Wars theme, because we've done that the last couple with Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian. We're going to do Jedi Fallen Order, the video game now. And I just looked on Steam. I have about 7 hours into this game. And I had to take a break from it because the style of game that it is, the combat, the controls-wise, and the aspect of it, it's third person. It's very much like the Tomb Raider, the most recent Tomb Raider games, where third person and you're going through a predetermined path that they want you to go through to tell you the story, I mean, I got no complaints there. I just have a problem with the fact that it's designed for a controller, and I am used to keyboard and mouse. It's my own thing. It's not their problem, you know. And so I had to take a break from it because I'm in the section where the Tomb Guardians, if you're familiar with the game, there's a section where you're in this tomb, cave type situation with these Tomb Guardians, and they're a son of a bitch, these Tomb Guardians. So you actually have to be pretty adept with being able to manipulate all the different attacks, force powers, all that stuff. And you can tell, I mean, they tell you up front that the game is designed to be played on a controller. And with keyboard and mouse, you have to use stuff like the Z key, and you have to use a lot of different keys that you don't normally use in your standard keyboard and mouse configuration, first-person shooter type of a deal. And you can't, even if you were to try and remap everything, it's still extra keys that you're not used to manipulating fingers-wise. So I took a break, and this morning I went back and played it a little bit, and I actually got past where I was stuck at. So I actually feel a lot better about it now. And again, it's got nothing to do with it. It's not a knock on the game at all. It's just not my milieu, as it were. So if you are a console player, and this is for people who haven't played this game at all. If you have, but you are a console gamer and you have played stuff like Uncharted, The Last of Us, or whatever it is, stuff like that, this is exactly up your alley, because it's the same type of thing. Like I played the first Uncharted on my PlayStation, and I loved the story and the cutscenes and everything else. But as you're trying to race through everything, you know, on a controller, it becomes second nature and everything, but you switch to a keyboard or mouse. And yes, I could put a controller on my rig. I have a controller somewhere here, but I just like keyboard and mouse. I just do. So, yeah, so if you, Uncharted, I've been told the Dark Souls, I've never played the Dark Souls games, but I've been told it's similar to that. I looked it up, and one of the inspirations was the Arkham Asylum. And I played the shit out of Arkham Asylum. The first one, I didn't play the following Arkham. I have them on Steam. But I did not finish Arkham Asylum because the final boss fight with the Joker, I just couldn't beat him. I tried everything, and I was using keyboard and mouse, of course, and I couldn't beat him. So, I mean, I got to the end, but I just didn't beat the final boss, so I'm sure that I could look up the cutscene if I wanted to, but whatever. So, I do enjoy, to an extent, that type of thing, but I much more prefer first-person shooter style Fallout 4 is, you know, I have 1,000 hours on Fallout 4, and that is right up my alley. So, anyway, that's my thing. It's got no knock on the game at all. Now, let's talk about the story is fantastic so far to where I'm at, but the way they're delivering it, and the fact that you have this data bank that unlocks all this lore and flavor and history and all this stuff for you to, as you find artifacts and things like that. You can again, it's one of those games where you can deep dive into it and read all the text and all the backstory and lore and all that stuff. If that's your thing, it's in this game. It's got a deep context to it. You got a little helper. You got I think it's BD8 or something like that. Little droid and they use him perfectly in the game. He's how you get your stim packs. You yell at him, help, you know, he throws you a stim pack, you know, and he rides on your shoulder. Great stuff. The voice acting is good. Everything I've seen, music's great. Atmosphere's fantastic. So yeah, it's a good game. It's a well-made game, and it was made by Respawn Entertainment, and it looks like EA, the evil empire themselves, kind of left Respawn alone to make this game, and you can tell because they made a good game. And as far as a Star Wars game goes, I think they're very respectful of the Star Wars world, and I mean, you've got stuff like the world of Kashyyyk. I haven't been there yet, but I've unlocked it apparently, and as you read through all the lore and the flavor and all that stuff, it feeds right into the Star Wars world perfectly. Now, I don't know, like, time-wise, based on the official timeline that Disney now goes, because they got rid of the expanded universe, and what, you know, their official timeline, I haven't really looked up to see where this fits in. But as far as continuity, if there's anybody watching this that's more a much more well-read Star Wars nerd than me, because I'm primarily the movies, you know, guy. I haven't read the books. I've played all the video games pretty much. I have not watched most of the animated series, Rebels or the Clone Wars, but there's probably some of you watching this who have done it all, read all the books, seen the Clone Wars, seen Rebels, and know all that stuff. So as far as continuity goes, you might want to chime in down below and let me know how this fits in, how well it does continuity-wise and timeline-wise and all that stuff. So, and now let's just say fun factor. It is very fun because, of course, you're playing with a glow stick lightsaber. You know, I mean, who doesn't want to go around beating the shit out of stuff with a glow stick? You know, I mean, and you got force powers. I mean, one of the keys for me just getting past the area that I'm in now in that damn tomb is I finally unlocked force push. And that was what I was struggling with up to this point, because I was finding areas where I'm thinking I should be able to break through here, but it wasn't letting me do it with my lightsaber, and there was a red glow to it, and I thought that was a signal to me that I should be able to get through there somehow. Well, it was once I unlocked force push, because then it turns blue, and then you can force push it through to get through. And so the tomb part is just a gigantic puzzle. Platformer, you got to, you know, do the Mario Brothers thing, jumping on pillars and all that stuff, and using your powers and figuring out puzzles and all. It's so once I think once I get through the tomb area onto whatever comes next, I think that my anxiety about the game will hopefully lighten up a little bit. But in no way am I not having fun. I'm just struggling with the old man keyboard and mouse thing as opposed to the controller. I had a dear friend who got me The Last of Us for my PlayStation 3 and because I don't have any newer consoles, because I just don't play them. And I started playing it, and of course, I've just got to get used to controller. If I could just take the time to play for a few hours each day or something like that to where it became second nature, I'd probably have a blast, and I'd probably hook up my controller to my rig here for these types of games. But that's that old man stubbornness shit that we go through, you know, as you get old. So, anyway, so yes, end result, I enjoy the game. It's probably the best Star Wars game that EA has put out in a long time. So, I would probably give it, I give it an 8 out of 10. And as I play more, as I get towards the end, that could go up or down. I'm guessing it's going to go up because the story will probably grip me and, you know, and everything. So, but for now, let's say 8 out of 10. I think that's a fair score, and it's a good game. So that wraps everything up for getting caught up on all the Star Wars stuff as part of this catch-up series. So let's see. Tomorrow, maybe you guys want to mention down below which one you'd rather see. We could talk about the latest season of Doctor Who, and that whole ball of wax thing there, you know, with everything that goes along with that. There's a lot of controversy about it. We could talk about the Intellivision Amico, which is the new Intellivision console that's going to be coming out, which I have a Founders Edition on reserve now. We could talk about that. We could talk about Baldur's Gate 3 and the teaser content that was showed, the in-game footage and all that stuff. We could talk about that. So let's narrow it down to those three. Let's say Doctor Who, the Intellivision Amico, Baldur's Gate 3. I'm pretty sure I know which way you guys are going to vote, but I'll wait and look in the comments below and see. Until tomorrow, catch you on the flip side.